Obviously, this last 3 days have been nearly unprecedented in terms of the number of counties within our state impacted by these flash floods. Flash flooding offers a unique challenge to us. We've had, obviously, as a state, a lot of experience in dealing with floods, but generally the larger river floods that we've dealt with are slow moving. We have a day or two, sometimes 3 days to plan for crests, allowing us to get teams in ahead of the crests and sandbag crews and so forth to help mitigate damage. What we faced the last 2 to 3 days is a total inundation of rains ranging from 10 inches in part of the state up to as much as 15 inches in certain areas. And with that comes the threat of flash floods. And flash floods come up very quickly. Don't get a lot of warning, has stranded a lot of people. We've probably had more water rescues in the last 2 days statewide than we've had in years.
I started early this morning in Greene County and toured flood damage in Rogersville, in Webster County. Went back to Springfield and met with emergency response officials, SEMA folks, local, state, and federal emergency response people, and I lauded them as I did at all my stops today. I cannot tell you how great the teamwork has been. Rogersville had people put out of their homes. I toured 2 homes in two different neighborhoods where people were out of their homes. The people are remarkably resilient, as we know Missourians are. They were composed and holding up well under the enormous stress. Butler County, down near Coon Island, near the Arkansas line, and that 100 people were stranded with the breach of that levee, and the response from the Water Patrol was immediate, and they were joined by forces of the U.S. Coast Guard in going to rescue those people at midday. Once again, the response is just amazing. In Poplar Bluff, the director of emergency response told me that they had had over 500 people on the ground, federal, state, and local, mostly local, and that included volunteers. Includes the Red Cross and everyone else who's involved in response. From there we went on to Cape Girardeau and toured the major flooding at Dutchtown. When you look to the south and the east from the airplane in the southeast part of the state, in many of the fields it looks like a vast inland sea.
We have had 38 officers going around to the different hot spots of flash flooding in the last few days. We've got 19 boats. In the Butler Poplar Bluff area, we've had 18 officers handling calls down there, and they've made over 136 swift water recoveries and medical extractions out of homes. In Wayne and Piedmont area, we've taken out over 75 people out of that area in swift water recoveries. In Cape County, and there's been approximately 120 people taken out of the Dutchtown, Allenville area. So they have been keeping us very busy in extractions in all these counties. And this is even smaller counties where there's been really swift water on Current and the Jacks Forks, and we've also been sending officers over these areas. So it's been a widespread throughout southeast Missouri. During these last 2 days, we have lost 3 boats during these swift water rescues. So it has been very dangerous for our officers getting these people out of the swift areas. And we have lost 1 truck during this time, during these evacuation efforts. At the moment, we are sending officers to the Eureka area in South St. Louis, where the Merrimack River is supposed to reach record heights by Saturday. So we are preparing for this type of a flooding down there, and we are just going from the different hot spots wherever we're finding the crests and the rivers where it's going to. We would like to ask that everybody in the South St. Louis area, if they expect a they are going to be having high water problems to please move out, because it does put the emergency responders in a dangerous situation for us to have to go in and get them. So we would like to put that out, that everybody please move out if they do fear that they could be getting around with high
Looks like
water.
the Merrimack River area seems to be the worst. Is that the worst part of the state? And what you said, probably Saturday or Sunday is when it might crest. So
Correct.
is that the worst part of the state? If assuming we get no more
It's
rain,
the worst part of the state coming up.
Step up there.
I'm sorry. It's the worst part of the state coming into the future, what we're looking at now, because we're moving officers up there now, preparing for the high water and expecting flooding coming. So the other areas are starting, the water's going down. You're not having the rescues there now, except for where the Coon Island break is going on right now. But some of the areas such as Cape County, we're able to move the officers out of the Cape County area, and we're moving them up to St. Louis to start taking care of another possible hot spot, what we call it.
What would you say is the worst area right now? If you were to look over, because we've seen a lot of the pictures on TV, and it looks pretty. Some of the people, some of the homes, it's
Right.
a devastated area.
Right now, the worst area is the Poplar Bluff, Butler County area. But probably within another day or two, it's going to be over there, and then we'll be moving up to the St. Louis area.
The crest moved through in Poplar Bluff on the Black River at 1 a.m. They were having urgent rescue calls up to that time, and right after the crest, they said the rescue calls
There have been no
stopped.
forced evacuations. The local emergency management directors will make those decisions at that level. I'm not aware of any of them forcing evacuations. They have gone and they've encouraged people to evacuate, and most people have. There are areas where we anticipated levees to break, and got the word out, and people voluntarily got out of those areas, and ultimately when the levees did break, it minimized our having to rescue people. There are some. We will hear reports that say we've contacted this area, and the folks are refusing to leave. They want to stay with their property and that sort of thing. So thankfully, although it is tragic, obviously, any loss of life, but with the magnitude of 70 counties impacted, we have only lost 5 lives in Missouri thus far, and so we feel pretty lucky about that.
Do you have an idea how many people have been forced from their homes at this point?
Oh gosh, I don't.
Thousands.
Thousands probably is not an overstatement, and it may even be for just hours. Again, the flash floods that comes up fast, sometimes it goes down fast, but I know the first day or two we had a lot of people that were not in their homes and temporary shelters set up.
Shut down I-44.
Well, I was just told by MoDOT before I came over here that they are going to mount an effort to sandbag I-44. That's not official. That came from a lower level MoDOT employee that I just talked to. But I do believe that there may be an effort underway to attempt to sandbag I-44 to keep it from going over. Now, as I'm told, crest for the Merrimack, and maybe Brad knows better than I, would put it over I-44. So if we're going to save it,
I'll say it's always a bad bet. It's always a bad bet to try to take your vehicle through moving water, and we urge people to err on the side of caution.